friends, my name is Lisa and I am excited to tell you my Jesus story today. So my Jesus story starts off when I was in middle school and I had a friend that invited me to her church, and she went to a big church. It had a youth group. I stayed there for quite a bit of time. The one thing that was hard is that I didn't necessarily feel like I fit in. But I did get to go to a couple summer camps, and one in particular, I remember sitting on a log with my amazing youth leader, and she was talking to me about Jesus, and she asked me if I wanted to make him my Lord and Savior, and I said yes, and she led me through the salvation prayer, and so that was the day that I accepted Jesus. So moving forward a couple years, I was probably about 17. This one particular morning, after a night of bad choices, I was sitting there and it was like, in a moment, like God opened my eyes to my sin. In the same moment, He reminded me of when I was sitting on that log, and my youth leader told me that if I asked Jesus for forgiveness, that He would forgive me. And so that's what I did. So I prayed, I asked Jesus to forgive me. So I truly believe that, God forgave my sins. They will never be truly forgotten, but that's okay, because that's what's made me who I am today. After that, several years later, I graduated from nursing school. I met my now husband, Stephen, and we fell like madly in love with each other. Shortly on into our relationship, I found out that he was using drugs and that he was an addict. And it took me years to realize that his addiction had absolutely nothing to do with me. And there was nothing I could do to make it better. And there was nothing I could do to make it worse. But his addiction actually led us to Celebrate Recovery. And that was honestly the first time that I felt just a little bit of hope in a hopeless situation. And there led us into church. So that's when I started reading the Bible, and I started praying, and I was journaling, and we were doing Bible studies. I'd love to say that, I had this relationship with Jesus and life was great and it's been perfect, but that's just not how it was. Our lives got really hard after that. Just dealing with Stephen's medical issues, his addiction, trying to raise 2 little kids. If you were to ask me, like, what's different about you today than before I knew Christ? And it's peace, purpose, and people. So before I knew Jesus, I really had no peace. It just wasn't there. The peace that I'm talking about that I have now is this overwhelming, underlying peace in the struggle, in the chaos, in the good, in the bad. It's there, and it's there because of my relationship with Jesus. So the next thing that has changed dramatically is purpose. Like before I knew Jesus, I didn't really have purpose. In the past, I served at Celebrate Recovery. So my husband and I, we got a lot of healing through that ministry. And because we had so much healing, we decided that we were going to start our own. I remember sitting in the church pew, and my husband was up on the podium, and he was teaching, preaching, whatever you want to call it. But I was just amazed at like how gifted he was and how he was able to really just touch people's hearts and help them in their journey. And God told me right then and there, this is why you had to go through all the hard stuff. Because you're here today, you're helping other people. The other thing we did as a family, we went to Guatemala, and we went to a small village in Chicolte, and we installed water filters. And I was like asking God, I'm like, why is there so much disparity? Why do we have so much? Why do they have so little? Why do you let that happen? Why? And man, He just told me, Lisa, that's why I created you. So it's through us helping them that is God's way of telling them how much He loves them. Since I began my relationship with Jesus, I have just surrounded myself with just some amazing people. People that are loving, that are humble, that love Jesus, that will come and pray for me, for my family. They're just amazing people. What I can say is that I lived half my life with Jesus and I've lived half of it without. And there's just no way I would ever go back. It has been a profound change in me, in my life. And it's something that's hard to explain. Like, you know, you just have to experience it. But I have that because I know that He is with me. He will never leave me. He has a plan for my life. And I am extremely grateful for that. And I thank you for letting me share my story.